Alright, hello and welcome to the second episode of Acidhedz Discussion Zone. Alright, so last time I did kind of an introduction, of course, since it was the first episode, and a bit of a silly topic. Not silly, interesting idea topic. This episode, I want to start a discussion, open up discussion on something serious, very serious for everyone. Genetic manipulation. Okay? In fact, this one is such a big topic that I'm probably going to be putting multiple threads on my forum for different discussion areas because it really is a huge topic. Because I'm not just talking about science fiction here, I'm talking about things like stem cell research that is really going on now, which isn't exactly genetic manipulation, but it is using things that are building blocks of our bodies, the cells that basically become every other kind of cell, to help people now. It's already happening right now. So that's one area I would like people to be talking about, is stem cell research. There's already treatments going on for people for like heart disease and all sorts of different things, because these cells are able to become fresh, young, new cells pretty much anywhere in the body. So that's one area I would like you to start talking about for this episode, opening up the whole thing, is stem cell research. Very interesting topic. Let's talk about it. Okay, area number 2, okay, is just the overall notion of manipulating our DNA, our genetics, in the broad sense. Is it a good idea? Because you never know what might go wrong. But at the same time, you can kind of run into more philosophical areas, like the notion of I've got my notes here. Seeking perfection. Couldn't remember how I phrased it in my notes here. The idea of seeking perfection, okay? Now, philosophically, do we risk losing our individuality if we start getting into the realm of trying to make everybody genetically perfect? Okay? Things like that. That's something I'd like to be discussing with people. Alright, and then, of course, from there you get into the territory of superhuman. Okay? If we start mucking about with our genetics, are we going to start running into kind of an X-Men situation? Not necessarily all the crazy stuff, but stronger, faster, all that stuff. It's possible that if you start messing with people's genetics, you can develop super soldiers. All sorts of things. And as science fiction has taught us, there's usually issues that could go wrong there big time. For example, creating a race of slaves to do all the really hard labor. Rebellions, of course. Opens up a whole world of possibilities and possible problems. And then, of course, there's, for example, the movie, I believe it's Gattaca. Yes. It's a very interesting movie because it opens up the notion of genetic racism. Okay? Where it isn't what color you are or, none of that stuff that is what causes people to mess with each other and have that feeling of superiority, but genetics. If we start doing things with, our genetic codes, is it something that those who are already born will not be able to be taking advantage of? Something that can only be done to the preborn, something that can only be done in development. Do we run the risk of creating a situation where those who are born genetically superior, modified, however you want to phrase that, begin to look down on those who were not. So, something to think on. But then there's also areas that are very good, potentially, like resource conservation. Okay, basically making people to where they need less. Okay, for example, just an example, less food. Obviously, population increasing, if you make it to where people, you know, genetically just don't want to eat as much and don't need to eat as much, one, you remove obesity, compulsive eating, probably, since there's a psychological component to that. That one's a little bit harder to peg. But basically, you create a situation where people just need less food to survive. So there's more for everyone to eat. But also, the energy crisis. If we could create some sort of a treatment that would make all of our eyes work way, way better, we wouldn't need as much power for things like computers. We could have them much dimmer power-wise. You know, they would not need as much power because they could be a lot dimmer, but we would still be able to see them just fine. Okay, TVs, you know, street lights, you know, just basically making our eyes work the same, at the same quality, but at lower light levels. We would save quite a bit of power that way. So there's potential issues with resource conservation that could come about because of genetic modifications. Okay, and then branching off of things like stem cell research, there's organ cloning. All right, you know, if somebody has a bad heart, clone a new heart. That way you don't have to wait for donors. You have to wait for the heart to be grown, obviously, but it still creates a lot of possibilities. Then the last couple of ones are a bit scary-ish. Population control is a potential issue because if you start making it to where people live longer, you run into the problem of their resources running out completely way faster. Populations are already on the rise and have been for give or take 100 and 150 years. Actually, a huge population explosion with modern medicine. So, population becomes a concern if you start modifying people to where they live even longer. Okay? And the last one is a bit of a weird one. It's making people smarter, because there is a typical notion for those who are very intelligent to wish that everyone else was as well, because it would make the world a better place. But you do run into the issue of, if you made everyone much smarter, say, if you could, well, I've got a thought experiment, or, you know, something for you to think about and then tell me how, you know, what would you do type of thing for the end of this. But it's true that being smarter leads often to depression and generally less happiness, because, and I'm not dissing people that aren't smart, it's just simply that the smarter you are, the more you tend to think about. You tend to think about the world around you, what's happening to the people in the world around you. Higher intelligence, not always, but usually does confer greater empathy, ability to see things from other people's points of view, and also often comes with a sense of responsibility towards the world around you, because you feel like you should be able to do something about it. Now, if everybody was like that, obviously things probably would get a lot better, because you wouldn't have situations where most people are ignoring everything. But at the same time, is average intelligence a defense mechanism? Because you need people to just do regular jobs. okay? And again, I'm not trying to diss anybody. This is just purely thinking about this because sometimes these things need to be thought about. Ignorance is bliss, and great intelligence brings great depression. Sometimes. So, the question is, the what would you do thing, knowing that it would probably vastly improve the, lots of stuff in the world, and at the same time generally make people less happy, or potentially lead to everybody being much happier. That's one of the, I want you to think about this for yourself and then get back to me. That's why this is a discussion zone, not a I tell you shit and then you say nothing zone. Okay. If you could slip a drug into the water supplies of everybody on the planet that would make either now or the next generation born an average of 20 IQ points smarter, would you do it? I want you to think about that and get back to me. So, thank you for watching this episode, and I will be putting multiple threads up because, like I said, discussion points, some very big issues for this episode. That'll be on the forum, of course. You can leave your responses in the comment section on this video. You can come to the forum. That's acidhedzproductions.biz. Science board, which is in the general discussion area of the site. If you scroll down, I can show you where it is. Right there, science. This, that, and the other, science. Okay. So this is going to try and fall over on me now, but I'm almost done. Alright, so yeah, come to the website. You can either respond via a video on YouTube, on the website there, in the forum, or in the comments for the video. Thank you for watching. I look forward to hearing what you have to say and having this discussions with you. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.